Hey guys, it's Sarah Rose. I am wrapped up with Tactical Pistol 1 and 2. I've got some dirty guns and a lot of thoughts, so I thought I would share that with you. So Tactical Pistol is definitely more of a intermediate style course. So it is one that you definitely need shooting experience for. And when I say shooting experience, I don't just mean that you've picked up a gun before and you fired some rounds through it. I mean, you need to be proficient in your accuracy to the point that you can push some speed and be put under some pressure for time. That's something that, I'll be honest, is something that I needed some practice on. I consider myself a pretty good marksman, but put me under a clock and under some pressure and I'm going to make some mistakes, which is fine. That's to be expected, and that's what this class was for. But to be ready for this class, you really need to be proficient in not just shooting basics and fundamentals, but have some experience in drawing from a holster, have some experience in reloading your gun, have some experience in shooting at distance, and maybe even a little bit of movement, understanding how to just be accurate with different skills involved. So moving, transitioning from target to target. These are things that you want to have some experience in. This class will push you on those skills, but if you go in trying to learn those skills for the first time, then you're just not going to get the value out of it that you could if you already have that foundation. So that's definitely something that I suggest, is just being ready for this class. I will say, honestly, me having gone through Defensive Pistol 1 and 2 already just the weekend before, it did give me a hand up on some of the skills that we did. So Defensive Pistol at the end, we dabbled in some position shooting, in some combination drills, and because I had the same instructors from Defensive Pistol to Tactical Pistol, I knew how they taught and I knew the skills that we were working on. And some of the students that didn't go through Defensive Pistol were trying to learn those techniques, those positions that we were shooting from. And if you have a good basis on that, you can then push those skills like I did. So I do suggest that if you have the option, go to Defensive Pistol, but if nothing else, you really do, for safety reasons and just getting your value out of the class, you have to be efficient and proficient with your firearm and how you use it. So that is honestly my biggest tip, is preparing for it. To prepare for this class, because I wanted to get really good value out of it, I also did some dry fire drills to prepare. So making sure that I was pretty proficient in reloading, drawing from a holster, enough that I can work on those skills and push them a little bit. Take a class, practice before you go to the range before you go to the class, just so that you can have your focus on enhancing your skills rather than learning the basics of those skills. So that's really something that I suggest more than anything. So day 1 was a really seamless transition for me going from Defensive Pistol. We learned some of the same concepts, skills, and techniques like position shooting. Day 2 is where it got tough though. Day 2, we did a qualifier at the very beginning, right away, and it was a tough one. I was really nervous for it. I knew it was coming, and I knew it had some tight speed standards. I honestly switched firearms, and between day 1 and day 2, day 1 I ran a FNS 9, day 2 I ran a CZ P10. The reason for that is the CZ has a much lighter and shorter trigger pull for me, and I knew that that was going to increase my speed. So that's something that I did. It was kind of fun for me to go from gun to gun and be able to just transition and keep those same foundations. And I think that really speaks to having good foundations in grip and trigger pull is just knowing that no matter what gun you pick up, you should be able to use it proficiently. And I think that really goes into the training that you put into. So I was able to do that, so that was kind of fun, but that's because I was nervous for this qualifier. The beginning of it, I definitely failed it, like in very different aspects. I failed it in the accuracy. I threw some rounds off of the A zone that I was going for, just under that pressure and that time. I missed some time targets, so getting the rounds downrange in a certain amount of time. I went a little bit longer than that. Just really all over the place, I failed it. And that broke me down a little bit. I got in my head, I was like, okay, is this a go, no-go thing? It was not a go, no-go thing, but I'm glad I had that mentality because I took it seriously, and so did the rest of the students as well. So once we got through that part, we realized, okay, we've got some work to do. We know where we stand, so let's work on it now. So as we went through the day on day 2, we did drills that really drilled down on the details for how to pass that qualifier, and the goal is to pass it at the end. And so we worked on lots of movement drills. We got to do some fun ones where we moved from position to position at different barrels, different stages, working on taking accurate shots, transitioning between the two. And that was really fun and competitive. That honestly was one of the best parts of this class, is just the nature of the students going through those challenges together. I felt like we built a really good team by the end of the second day, and we were there to support each other, to push each other, a little friendly competition, but it was so fun. And some of the guys that were in there in that class with me, students, they've done quite a few MTAC classes before, so it was really cool to be able to get their take on the classes and let me know what I have to look forward to. I really do look forward to doing more classes with them in the future and just continuing to build on those skills together and build that camaraderie. Biggest thing that I learned from this class was just the fact that no matter where you think you are or how good you think you are, there's always going to be things to work on. So we all came in understanding where we were, and we all were able to push those limits a little bit and go even further than we thought we could. Progress is not linear, even in the course of one class or during the course of a whole training journey that never ends over months and years. There's going to be setbacks. There's going to be parts where you break down a little bit, but it's all about the build up after that. And in this class, I had that journey for sure. I developed some issues with my natural point of aim. I'm a little bit shorter, so that's always a little bit lower anyway. And then at distance, really started having some issues about keeping it, especially under the pressure of time, keeping it within that target zone that I wanted to be, keeping it really accurate. So we worked on that. I kept having the same mistakes, and one of the instructors really encouraged me and let me know that my foundations are so solid because I put in the work for it. I just need to trust that. And so once I did trust my point of aim, I realigned my sight picture, made sure all my foundations were there. By the end, for the second qual that we did, I didn't quite pass it either, honestly. I did throw one round towards the lower part of the target, which is something that I can work on at distance, but it was a huge improvement. That was my only shot that was outside of the target. I made all the time limits on the second one, so I was really happy about my performance, and I am excited to keep working on what I learned during that class. But it was a super exciting weekend, lots of fun. Really loved some of the drills that we did where we got to move and shoot at the same time. It was a really great experience. I fully intend on doing it again and taking those skills and really building on them over and over, because it was a class that pushed my limits, and I was thankful to have the instructors there with me to guide me through that time. I was excited to have a great team with me, with the other students we built together, and just excited to keep working on it. So I've got a lot of lessons to write down in my journal, a lot of thoughts to keep working on, but it was a fantastic weekend with MTAC. I'm super grateful for the experience and can't wait to keep going.